The most surprising component of it has been how women-dominated consumer is. We're a Greek yogurt that's specifically designed for your gut, so we take the equivalent of a probiotic supplement and culture it in your yogurt. What it takes to get into a grocery store, I think I'm here for yogurt. That works.
You quit your job in private equity to start a yogurt company.
That is right, that is correct. You will always delay because there's never gonna be a perfect moment, there's never gonna be a perfect product, there's never gonna be a perfect fit. Am I here to be a private equity girly for the rest of my life? I'm like so anti the grind set situation. I care more about this company winning than I care about doing well in my job. Hey, we're at Cinderella right now. This is one of our 125 stores that we sell sour milk in. What it takes to get into a grocery store. Our first 10 stores, we literally banged on the door ourselves. Like me and my co-founder just would have a case of sour milk, would ask for the store manager. You're like, hey, is the dairy buyer here or is the store manager here? And then you drop off samples. And the key thing is to make sure you get an email or a phone number because you want to make sure that you follow up with them. We're coming from our refrigerated warehouse in Long Island City. Honestly, we're like the little tiny guys who are there, who show up with our backpacks and load up our backpacks with all the yogurt. Meanwhile, there's people with 18-wheeler trucks,
semi-trucks next to us.
Coming in and
we have our city bikes.
We didn't even have a distributor in those early days, so we would just truly drop it off on a city bike, or we started leasing a car because it became too chaotic on bikes. Now you can actually buy us in stores and not just directly from us on the streets of New York, which is what we used to do. We'd just be on the streets of New York, almost like a drug deal, and people would buy online and then they would come and pick up our yogurt. To awkwardly make eyes with a lot of people.
And you're looking at them and they're looking at you.
But then often they just walk away.
And they walk away and they just happen to be looking at you.
But it's head on a swivel.
And it's open, they have wood tails.
See, I don't know, just made eyes for a long time. Here's 2 yogurts. I hope that you enjoy them. And this is a fridge magnet for your fridge. Yeah, enjoy it. I hope you enjoy it. It's a way of basically beginning to develop our customer base when ultimately we're not a direct-to-consumer business. So when I did drop off a case, I could say we already have 500 paying customers who've been buying it from me on the streets of New York in the most high friction model possible. Truly, you have to go out of your way. You don't shop on the streets of New York.
Because you have to be welcoming. It has to be oh yeah.
And then sometimes someone will be like, what is that? And I'm like, oh, it's salmon. And then sometimes I'm like, I think I'm here for yogurt. And you have to make them feel comfortable. It's not a fucking weird thing that they're coming and picking up yogurt on the street.
We're this isn't weird.
Yeah, we're yeah, of course you're here for yogurt. Basically, as a small business, you just have to create leverage for yourself and try and have something that you can then use and help and create value for whoever you're trying to partner with. I go to my grocery stores every day in my neighborhood to check on my products because you never know if you're off shelf. Nobody tells you if you're out of stock. You have to tell them yourself. The thing that people don't realize about grocery stores is it's a bunch of people who are just manning the floor, of course. And you would think that if something was off shelf, they would start restocking it, but oftentimes it's in the back. And they forget, they don't even think about it. So you have to go in, you have to email the buyer and be like, hey, we're off shelf. You need to order more. Okay, but we're gonna out Cinderella here. It's looking like our single serve is priced at our 24 ounce, which is a problem. So now I have to go tell the buyer that this is what's happening. This is the shit that this is. When I was first starting, I had no network here. And that was my number one goal before quitting my job was actually to start developing a network. So I started telling every single person. When someone asked what's up, how are you? Just as a friend or a coworker, I would say, I'm great. I'm actually starting this yogurt company. Do you know anybody who works in the food industry, retail buyers, distributors, anybody at all? Everyone knows someone who is somehow tangentially related, but it was all really helpful to start understanding the industry. And so I took every single coffee chat that was thrown my way. I'm friends with the Gato Dates girls. So see, I need to merchandise it because they're in a bad spot. Same with Bezzy, Eli, she's a good friend of ours. The second you just start putting yourself out there, I go on the internet every single day and talk about my yogurt company, you are connected with other people who also, people inherently just start reaching out and start introducing themselves and connecting you to people who they think might be helpful. And so I didn't feel like I saw like a path where I was really inspired by the work I was going to do. And ultimately, I also realized like the longer I spend here, it's not just about the stability and the lifestyle and the money that I was making. I also was going to turn into that person. And I had to be very honest with myself. Like, am I here to be a private equity girly for the rest of my life? And like after 4.5 years, you start to take on the culture of the place that you are. And I was lucky that I was at a place that had great culture. But at the same time, is this who I really want to be?
Yeah.
And so getting very clear with myself about how I wanted to be spending my time, the impact I wanted to be making, and like what I wanted to actually be learning in this world, it was very clear that like my time was better spent probably going out and doing something else. You can continue living your life in this career and this like trajectory, successful trajectory, and just have blinders on.
Yeah.
Because it's like a lot easier to have blinders on than to be like questioning, what do I want from this life? How do I want to build it? Like it's all, you have high agency as a person, but it's pretty easy to forget that when you're like already in a set path.
What aspects of your personality do you think kind of had to come to play more for launching Sour Milk than were present in private equity?
Like so many different ones. I also had felt like my brain was not firing on all cylinders anymore. And I feel like my brain is firing on all cylinders, maybe too much of the time in this job at this point. But number one is probably my extroversion. I'm like 99% extroverted on like any scale that you take or whatever, any test. I am building this brand one interaction at a time. Like,
got it.
You now know what Sour Milk is. You now know who I am. And like, you know that we're in Cinderella. And now like, that is one more person. And like, you're one person out of 50 people that I'm gonna do that with today.
Yeah. And I'm gonna go tell my friends.
Exactly.
And they're gonna go tell their friends.
Exactly.
Yeah.
If you don't like get energy from that, it's incredibly exhausting.
What is a piece of advice you have specifically for young female founders in the space?
I think that, we maybe already touched on this, but I think perfectionism is like totally your enemy. So I think that will just delay anything that you're doing. And I think time is like one of the biggest assets that you have in general if you're starting a company, because you want to be first to market, you want to like get the, market share, like all the things. But also as women, for me at least, I wanted a family. And I think there's like a very real thing that we don't talk about that much, which is like, I was 26 when I quit this, and I knew I wanted to give myself 10 years, like 5 to 10 years in front of me without having children, where I could have the option to really run super hard at this. And that was actually less a question of money, and that was way more a function of time. Because at one point I want to have a family, and I just know that I will have to sacrifice time. I think as long as you're a perfectionist, you will always delay, because there's never going to be a perfect moment, there's never going to be a perfect product, there's never going to be a perfect fit, never going to be a perfect person, all those things. And then you will only it will only stop you from actually going after something you want. And there is a money thing. Like I want to be, when I have children, I want to feel like I have enough in the bank and then I've created enough wealth for myself where I have that optionality.
Yeah.
And of course, like if I want to have kids and none of those things are the case, I will still have kids. But like give myself the optionality, give myself the runway to actually be in a better position. People ask like, what do you do if you're going to fail? And I'm like, I'm not going to fail. Like maybe Sour Milk will fail, but like it will be okay. Like it will fail and then I'll figure out the next thing and the next thing. And I have full faith that you could like, I have this visual in my head, like chuck me like a fucking football and I'm like floundering around in the air, whatever, like wherever I land, I will land on my 2 feet. And like, it might not be where you wanted me to land. Like it might not be where I exactly had in mind, but wherever it is, like I will be on my 2 feet. And like, I feel very, very confident about that.
Yeah.
Maybe overly so, but.
No, that's how it should be. Okay.